Step 4, create a new vendor master data. This step is a little bit tricky, so be very careful to follow the instructions step by step. This one you can follow the manual path or the transaction code. This one I'm going to use the transaction code directly, which is FK01. This is the transaction code. Create a new vendor master data. Vendor normally refers to where we buy the materials or where we receive the services. For vendor, we normally have accounts payable, right? Reconciliation account related. So after I enter the code, click on OK. And then when you create the vendor, so we need to create a business partner in the role of a vendor. For business partner, they can take the form of a person, a organization, or group. The most popular one is a organization. Okay, so I will choose this one. It's like individuals from another company or from maybe a family or something. Okay, the organization is the common one we can use. So continue. And this is a relative new transaction under the SAP HANA S4 system. Okay, rather than we create vendors or customers separately, all of them are initially created as a business partner, then we assign different roles to this partner. So this partner can be a customer, can be a vendor, or can be an employee, depending on the transaction is involved. So it saves the company to have redundant data. For example, this company is both my customer and both my vendor. If you have separate vendor and customer, then imagine you will have two duplicate copies of their general data, like the name of the company, contact information. Then, so the redundancy will cause like additional time to manage the data. Also, is take space in the system. So rather than have two copies of the general data, so we put the general data onto the business partner, right? So only like one business partner, but it can take a master role, customer role or vendor role. Under each role, we can enter the role specific data, like accounts payable account for vendors, but account receivable data for customers. So we save lots of the time and space to maintain the general data. Okay, that's a nice thing. But this transition makes the creation a little bit tricky, okay, in the beginning. But after some practice, we'll get familiar with that. So this is the main page for creating a new business partner. Normally, I don't really need this left panel, right? So you can save space, especially when I use a laptop. I will just close here. Okay, so I can have a larger space to look. The business partner, the code, the number now is empty because the system will give you a business partner code once we finish entering the data. Okay, so something will be added later. And this is the row I mentioned. Okay, currently, because I selected the FK01, the system I already know the business partner I'm creating is related to a vendor function. But if you just put a BP business partner, you need to define which role you are going to assign to this partner. Right now, I'm under a FI, means financial accounting vendor, and this is a new vendor. So we don't have this vendor in our existing data yet. Okay, first I'm going to put the general data, means like it's like the one we used in Access. For vendor or customers, okay, I'm going to put the name of the company and then contact information, but we have much more fields than in the Access database. So the name, I believe you can call here, Cardinal Properties, right? So it's a property company that we have some rental properties from, so the Cardinal Properties. And this one is critical. Okay, later, for example, I forgot my business partner number or the vendor code. So how I can search and find? Okay, that's give you the search functions. So when you use the search, put 0, then your user ID or company code. So because this one is unique, okay, to each of your account, even later when you forget, you can use the system search term to quickly retrieve the business partner or vendor code, okay, in case you forgot. So put a search term, you can put 2 of them, but I'm only using 1. Okay. And then continue to scroll down. If you are like me, you are using the laptop, okay, probably you have the similar screen size. So street address, in this one, you can use the information we have in the handouts. So we have Cardinal Properties, and then the address is Pioneer Trail. The critical thing is the postal code, okay, like the zip code and also the city, because the information we are inputting for the address should be consistent. So Pioneer Trail is the postal code is 55347. Is real, okay, is like you couldn't use makeup data because the SAP will check the validity of your inputs. Remember, when you enter into the access, we can activate the validity check. Okay, so to make sure the data you enter is valid, complete, and using the right format. And this is the Eden Spring. That's the actual city name, or Eden Prairie. And the region is, be careful, the region is actually the state. For SAP, is a German company. They don't use state, okay, they use like the region. Okay, this should be Minnesota. Let me double check. Yes. So that's our state. Okay. And the country will be US. US is a short name, the acronyms. And be careful here, the city postcode and the region need to be matched. Okay. If you have other information you want to input, you can click on the expand sign. Right. And after expand, I need to go up a little bit. You can see here the transportation zone and time zone. After we put the Minnesota, the region, the time zone is automatically added to match the region. If you enforce the time zone to different one, to like, for example, Pacific time or Eastern time, the system will return error message when you try to save. Oh, that's validity check, internal control for the SAP system. So postal code, city name, country, region, and time zone need to match. When we do the sales and the purchasing, we also want to add some additional, like the tax code and the transportation zone as well. But this is only a property rental, so we don't need those information. Okay, those for the address. And then the Language is a required field, so I just put so English. If you can see, you can select the pop down. Remember, I again to help protect the data integrity, I create a drop-down menu rather than the user manually input. Okay, to avoid errors. So just to make sure the data is the integrity of the data, so language. So if you see a field with the star, probably you already know those are required field. And then all of the others are optional. But you can see in a real SAP system, we have much more complicated data requirements than in the Access or in Excel. Okay, this is a real business system. When you work in a real company, you are basically seeing identical things. Okay, it's real simulation. So now I finished entering the general data for this vendor, and there are some other things. Okay, you can see that different screen like account overview. So it is already transferred my inputs. Okay, organize it, identifications, and I'm skipping those optional. But when you works in a real company, you may need other data. So that's the general data. Now I'm going to change to another group of data they call company code data. To enter that data, you need to click on the company code. If you have a wide screen than me, you probably see the company code directly in the menu. If you have a smaller screen like me, you need to click on the more in here and see the company code. Okay, means all of these menus are too long, so they take it under this more. So click on the company code. So the address we put are the general data for this business partner. Okay. So when the partner change their role, for example, later when they becomes a customer from a vendor, we still keep the general data no changed, right? Still the same address, but only the role change from a vendor to a customer. So we can add a new customer role but not changing the general data. Okay, so that's a nice part. So I'm going to change the company code. Okay, adding some other. So click on the company code. You can see you have different data groups to be added from here. So under the company code, use your US pound. Okay, your company code. I have 25. There is a trick. After you enter the code, you see all of the data fields are grayed out. The trick is here. So click on enter. So you can see, then you activate the inputs as necessary. For the first group of data, we need to add which accounts payable reconciliation account will relate to this vendor later. You need to associate this vendor with accounts payable. Okay, so once we confirm the invoice, the accounts payable will be created. And this one, I'm going to use the one, remember, the 11 pound 5. Wait, the one we created in step 2, the new reconciliation account. So you need to retrieve your own. And then this is the one, and also, so this is the only one I need for the vendor account management. Then click on the second data group, payment transactions. But this one need to enter the payment term is 0001. So payment term means can we get any discount? And payment 0001 means no discount is paid immediately once you receive the invoice. And if you see these 2 squares, means this is a field you can search all of the input choices. So payment terms, that's all of the existing payment terms for GBI. Okay, there are a lot. And the first one is payable immediately upon the due date. Okay, no discount. And then you have some other choices, but we are using the first one. And if you change to other one, but go back to select the first one and then confirm your selection. I didn't change anything. Okay, just close it. So payment term, and then also double check to check the double invoice. So means probably we are going to get 2 copies of the invoices. And then you have some other additional like a vendor correspondence status and tax withhold. We are skipping all of tax information in our SAP practice, but in real companies, again, you need to have tax information, or it's more complex. So once I get on here, I finish all of the necessary information for this FI vendor. So FI vendor means this is not a vendor I buy actual products. There is no shipping, goods receipt involved, or is only mostly from service vendors. For inventory vendors, we have some more information required, which we'll practice in the purchasing SAP module. For that one, we need to enter some purchasing related data for purchasing inventory vendors. But so far, I finished all of the data inputs. Now I can click on the save. Okay, save means I will save all of the vendor and all of the data we created. And you will see a confirmation. This is your business partner number. Be careful, it's not your vendor code later, but we can use this business partner and your search criteria to find the matching vendor when we make payments. Okay, so don't worry, but this is since I already created one like a partner in the afternoon. So number one is already taken. This is the second. So I believe you will see 3, 4, 5. Okay, as we all of us are practicing this process. We are using the same system. So after I finish, I will exit and go back to the home screen. Then we are ready to new steps.